Today we're going to be talking about things to know before buying a Yoto player. And if you're interested in getting a 10% discount off your first purchase, be sure to check out the link below in the description. So there are some things to know before buying a Yoto. The first is, it is an upfront investment. It's going to cost a little bit, we'll talk about that. The second is the cards. That's how you use the Yoto player, so we'll go over what that looks like. There's also Facebook groups to help a little bit with the costs of cards. You can trade cards, etc. And we'll get into the Yoto Mini. There's a Yoto Original and the Yoto Mini, and we'll share why the Yoto Mini works for our family really well. And then last but not least, it's still a device, and so that's important to keep in mind and think about ways you can use it so that it can benefit your family without building this habit of plugging your child into a device all the time. Let's talk. So if you're thinking of buying a Yoto player, you're probably wondering how much it costs. And you can see I'm at the us.yotoplay.com website. That's the place in the United States you're going to go to if you want to purchase a Yoto player. And there are other places or other sites in different countries to purchase that player, especially the UK where it was designed and developed. But here in the US you can see it's going to cost you about $99.99, so $100, and that is for the Yoto Original player. You could alternatively buy the Yoto Mini, which is what we've done for our family, and as you can see, it is $59.99, so still pricey, but a little less than that $100 Yoto Original. And this is what we've chosen. It feels like a lot for a fancy Bluetooth for your kid. It felt awkward to purchase at first, knowing that, wow, this is just a fancy Bluetooth and we're spending $60 on it for our child. Oh, so worth it though. I'll say two things about this. The first is, yes, it's a fancy Bluetooth device, but it's made for your kids to use and engage with in a way that I haven't seen any other Bluetooth do. And so the first is this little knob right here on the left. That controls the volume. And I say controls because yes, he can use it to turn the volume up or down. At the same time, if I feel like it's getting too loud and he's having a hard time turning it down, I can turn it down from my phone. There's an app you can download from Yoto, and you can use that to control the volume on your phone. Or if it's too quiet and he's having a hard time hearing it, I can turn it up from my phone as well. But for the most part, he can use that to control his own volume. And then this other knob right here on the right, that controls the different track that he's listening to. So this is great. I don't have to go over and change the track for him every time. He even knows what he's listening to track-wise, or he can switch without having to hear anything, but he can use the pictures in his little pixelated box there to see what it is that he's going to listen to next. Every time he turns that dial and goes from track to track, he's going to see that picture change, so it'll associate with the track that he's turning to, and he can decide to go from song to song, story to story, just by turning that dial, looking at the picture. This is great for kids who aren't reading yet, like my 3-year-old, because that's the age that he's at. But it gives him a lot of control to be able to use this and manipulate what he's wanting to listen to without me having to get so involved. The other thing I'll say about the price is that sometimes Yoto has sales on their website, so that's good to look out for. You can also look in the description box located here in the YouTube video, and there's a link to go to the yoto.com website where you can use that link and it'll give you a code to purchase with a 10% discount if you spend $99 or more as a first-time user. Let's talk about Yoto cards. They are part of that initial investment. You can see some of the different prices here per card on the Yoto page. There's about $9, $12. That seems to be about the range that cards cost. Sometimes they cost a little less. Sometimes they cost a little more depending on who produced that card in partnership with Yoto. So that's just kind of good to keep in mind. At the same time, it's really important to know about cards because they are the main way that the Yoto player works. So you take a card, stick it in your Yoto player. The first time it's going to sync with your phone, and that allows you to use the card on your device, your Yoto player device, or on your phone, which is kind of neat. I like that you already have the ability to play something from your Yoto player with your phone. If you're out and about and you've forgotten a certain card, you can just play it from your phone onto your Yoto player, and that works really well, or play it from your phone directly. And using the cards in this way also helps your kid, or at least it helps my kid, be able to, again, have that extra control over the content he's listening to by going up to his binder and pulling out a certain card and just putting it in his Yoto player. So that is a little bit more freedom on his end and more freedom for me. I don't have to be helping him with that particular step. He can just choose his own card when he wants to listen to something in particular. Now they've organized it well for us on the Yoto website between stories, music, activities, sound effects, podcasts, radio, and make your own. And then they also have age ranges at the top, single cards or packs. We do like to look for packs. Sometimes they can be a good deal just depending on what's in there and who it's developed by. Content on the cards really range. So it could be anything from as short as 12 minutes worth of content to 2 hours worth of content. It's good to click on the card, see what's listed on there in terms of what you're going to get. They usually have a little bit of a preview. You can listen to what the card's going to sound like. For us and our toddler, we have found that the activity cards work really well for him. He's been able to stay engaged with the sound effects, especially the ones from Lego Duplo that they produce on there, so that he can kind of like participate and play along, and it's a different kind of engagement with audio content. And then for the stories, they do have a number of stories on here. I am excited for them to be coming out with more stories, especially with Voices of Color, and I'm also interested in, you know, the content and the types of stories that he's listening to. And so that's the really nice thing about Make Your Own Card. There's so much space to be creative with Make Your Own Card. They allow you to put a whole lot of content on each card. You can change out the content that you put on that card and put new content on that card, and basically just keep uploading more and more playlists of content to your Yoto player. And they are way more cost effective than buying an actual card itself. So we like to put a lot of stories and songs on the Make Your Own cards ourselves, and that has been working really well for us. Another thing that can help with the cost of cards is there's a Facebook group where you can buy, sell, or trade cards. They have rules and guidelines as to what that looks like, but you can also come here to ask questions, and that can be really helpful to get some of your general questions answered by community members. There's also one in the US where you can trade cards a little bit more locally, and so that's another way if you wanted to buy, sell, or trade cards that you could actually do that and not be spending as much on the original cards from the Yoto website. As I've mentioned, we have the Yoto Mini for our family. This is not a picture of our child. It's just from the Yoto website, but it represents what we use it for a lot and the reason that the Mini works so well for us. I think that many folks purchased the Yoto Original when it first came out, and that works so great for them. It's a bigger size, so you kind of get to see a bigger pixelated screen, and there's some other great reviews that really compare the two for folks who actually have the two. We just started off with the Yoto Mini as our first time player. Maybe we'll move into the Yoto Original later, but the Mini works for us because it is a really transportable size, and it's a great size for our 3-year-old's hands. He can just kind of pick it up and take it with him wherever he needs to go. It's not too heavy or bulky, and we can take it with us on the go, and that's what is super helpful. We can take it in the car, to the grocery store. It's made those kinds of moments a lot smoother, so to speak. So we like the Mini for that reason, is mostly the size. The audio quality is still really good. I like the smaller pixelated screen. I didn't really want him staring at big images, even though it's just pixelations and not a screen. And so all of those kind of worked out in our favor. The last thing I'll mention about the Yoto player is it's still a device. And the reason I even mention that is it's something we came to realize for our family. When we first got the Yoto player, I was just so excited that he wasn't using screens as much anymore. It cut our screen time use down by like 80% at least. And I was also aware that I was kind of training him early on to still be connected to and use an external device, an external technology throughout the day. And all that meant for our family was making sure that we were mindful of how often we used it. So instead of using it for every tantrum and every transition, which it was really helping a lot with, we also wanted to make sure that our kid learned how to handle those hard moments, those tantruming moments, those transition moments on his own or with the skills that we were helping him to build and with the support of his family, instead of only using an audio device to kind of distract him in those times. So we use it a lot throughout our day, and we're also mindful of how we use it throughout our day. Which is something that you can all choose to do for you and your families. At the end of the day, I'd say I'd much rather have him listen to the audio content on the Yoto player instead of staring at a screen. The stimulation just feels really different in terms of how he's engaging with the device. And I really appreciate the Yoto and all that it's done for our family. I hope this video helped you think about things to know before buying that Yoto player. And remember, use that 10% discount link located in the description.